New consoles are coming soon, but the real question is not so much which one are you going to choose, but what games are you most hoping to play? Welcome back, my fellow gamers. Today we are going to set aside the bickering between which console dominates and instead focus on what games we would most like to see on these new consoles, whether your favorite one be PlayStation or Xbox, or even Nintendo. Well, maybe not as much. We aren't really expecting a next-gen console anytime soon from them because Nintendo Switch is amazing, though we might touch on sequels we'd love to see on the Nintendo Switch. We'll see. Because, I mean, who doesn't love Nintendo Switch? Today we'll be revisiting some of the franchises that are the video game loves of our life as we count down the top 10 games that need a sequel on next-gen consoles. And if you love any of these games and are hoping to see a sequel for them on your newest console soon, be sure to show that love by giving this list a thumbs up. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was recently released earlier this summer and was met with tons of praise and commercial success. The PS4 game sold like hotcakes, selling over 2 million copies worldwide within the first few days of its release. Do hotcakes actually sell that well? That's the real question. The PlayStation exclusive has quickly become very well loved for its breathtaking visuals and its story, and while it hasn't been around for that long, the samurai film inspired game is already seeing fans wonder about just when we might get a sequel. The question is, would Sucker Punch Games go the route of the Assassin's Creed franchise, moving the ghost concept to a different time period, or would it attempt to stay rooted in Japanese culture, hopefully expanding and building even more in that world? Would it continue to follow the protagonist Yin Sakai, or pass the story over to Thief Yuna, or perhaps introduce a new character? One thing is for sure, this would be an interesting concept to see revisited with the new, even more powerful processing technology promised to us with the launch of the PS5. Number 9. Dragon Age. It's been almost 6 years since we received the last Dragon Age installment. When Dragon Age Inquisition released in 2014, it quickly became the best-selling and performing BioWare game to date. Inquisition was a massive RPG, and even today I personally still find it possible to discover something new within that game upon replay. There's just so much to explore and so many choices and options for you to make in the RPG fantasy themed game. Rumors have flown surrounding another sequel or chapter coming out in the near future. We're pretty sure that another game is in the works and has been since as early as 2015, but what we don't know is when we'll be seeing that game. It likely will be available on the newest series of consoles to come out, but due to the project being believed to be started, scrapped, and then restarted again at least once over the past few years, it's estimated to not be released until probably after 2022. Yikes. You know what would be nice? Seeing that game somehow miraculously finish development and be ready for us this holiday season in 2020. Number 8. Uncharted. While Uncharted has seemingly come to a neat and tidy close with its 4th game seeming to wrap up the story of Nathan Drake quite nicely, it is possible that the Uncharted series could still continue, especially if Sony applied pressure on Naughty Dog Games to do so. After all, while we want to respect the story of the characters, it is possible another character could be introduced to take over for Nathan, traversing their own adventures while allowing us to explore the world from a new perspective. Some have theorized that Nathan's former love interest, Chloe Fraser, could step in as a new protagonist, or perhaps the franchise could continue with Nathan's daughter, Cassie Drake, stepping into her father's shoes, following her story and adventures in the future as an adult, who also becomes a potential treasure hunter like her dad. Number 7. Halo. Halo is actually finally getting another chapter added to the franchise, but not in the way that you might expect. It was recently revealed during their Xbox Game Showcase, even in July, that we have a new Halo title coming our way. And yes, it's a sequel of sorts, just not in the traditional sense. The last numbered sequel we had from the Halo franchise was Halo 5: Guardians. With the new title they've teased, entitled Halo Infinite, current developers of the series, 343 Industries, will be approaching the idea of a sequel in a whole new way. Instead of releasing standalone sequels, they are aiming for Halo Infinite to become the home of the franchise for the next 10 years, instead working to expand that game to include more stories and added features for gameplay. However, when it comes to this version of growing and expanding a sequel versus creating entirely new games, the question remains, what do the fans prefer? Do you want to see more standalone sequel titles from Halo, or are you satisfied with the promise of Halo Infinite, which we know will be releasing on the new console sometime this holiday season? Number 6. Final Fantasy VII Remake. This Final Fantasy VII Remake was insanely successful when it was initially released in April. People loved not only the graphics and the gameplay, but the game also got praised for its slightly altered storyline, with many fans coming up with all sorts of fun theories to try and explain the differences within the greater world of Final Fantasy, and theorizing how other Final Fantasy stories and worlds might tie into the one that we got in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Due to all this success, people are itching for the part 2 to that story. Fortunately, it seems like Square Enix and director Tetsuya Nomura are also gearing up to get that part 2 out as soon as possible, with the second part already being reported as in full production. Fingers crossed that this means we'll see it sooner rather than later on the PS5 console. Number 5. God of War. A series that we'd all love to see continued and maybe even come out with the PS5 could be God of War. God of War got a sort of reboot of its franchise, which saw the story of Kratos continue. After raining down fire and brimstone and bringing about the apocalypse to the world of Greece and their gods, Kratos now moves to Scandinavia. There he is forced to face the gods once more, but this time it looks like he's facing the gods of Norse mythology instead of Greek. Many fans of the franchise have been hoping we'd get an announcement about a potential sequel to this reboot. Unfortunately, rumors that a sequel, a PS5 God of War 2, or God of War 5, however you prefer to number that, was coming our way, have recently been dismissed by the director of the 2018 God of War game, Cory Barlog. Still, we can dream. Number 4. FABLE. There has been on and off talk of a FABLE sequel for forever, but we haven't seen a new game since 2010. With the FABLE Legends being cancelled and the dissolution of Lionhead Studios, the studio that brought us the FABLE franchise in the first place, many fans of the fantasy series were losing hope. However, recently we discovered that a new FABLE will be coming to us. Haha, patience pays off. At least it'll be coming eventually. Unless of course it also ends up getting cancelled. Please don't let that happen. As opposed to being marketed as a sequel, this one has just been titled FABLE. Instead of being developed by Lionhead, Playground Games will be creating this chapter of the franchise. Although whether or not it will be a sequel, a reboot, or a prequel, or something entirely different remains unknown. And even with it being announced as being available eventually for Xbox Series X and PC exclusively, with it being available to play on Game Pass on day one of its release on Series X, FABLE fans have been let down in the past. So although we may remain optimistic, let's maybe not hold our breaths just yet. Number 3. Elder Scrolls. While we have Elder Scrolls Online and we had Skyrim, we got Skyrim a long time ago now, we are still anticipating that very exciting Elder Scrolls number 6. Elder Scrolls number 6 has been announced to be a game that will be coming our way, although we probably won't be getting it for a long time just yet. We don't really know what the direction for Elder Scrolls 6 will be yet, but we know that it will be coming. But Bethesda still has a lot of other projects they have to get through first, so once those are done, we'll be seeing Elder Scrolls. Maybe in 2025, maybe in 2022, maybe in 2030 when we're all super old. However, this is definitely one I think that's worth holding our breaths for, because Elder Scrolls 6 is super exciting! If maybe there is all the stars align, however, we could be seeing this game in 2021, but that's at the earliest, so like I said, I don't think we should be expecting that. Delays. Number 2. Portal. We've had 2 really great Portal games so far, and yet it still doesn't feel like enough. Every time you finish a game of Portal, you feel that urge to play through a new puzzle-filled story where you are faced with the sarcastic and often unimpressed commentary of AI Gladys, voiced by the amazing Ellen McLean. The problem with the potential for this sequel is that there is a running gag that Valve cannot fathom or count to the number 3. They've never passed the number 2 when it comes to any of their franchise's sequel count, and even couldn't bring themselves to release a planned episode 3 for Half-Life's episodic content, and we were supposed to get that. In reality, this isn't because Valve can't count to 3 though, at least I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they can count to 3. It's because they got distracted with their work on Steam, the massive digital video game distribution service which they develop, and which I'm pretty sure we all use. Still, fans of Portal and other Valve games for that matter would love a third part to the game, even if Portal 2 seemed to give us a pretty finite and happy ending. After all, maybe that happy ending was a trick, a lie, like the cake, and we weren't quite safely out of Gladys's and Aperture Science's grasp just yet. Number 1. Grand Theft Auto. GTA 5 has been the latest GTA installment in the franchise since 2013. with the 4th numerical installment being released originally in 2008. GTA 4 and 5 had 5 years between them, and yet it's been almost 7 years exactly since we've seen a new installment released for the franchise, with GTA 5 coming out on PS3 on September 17th of 2013. While everyone is still super into GTA 5, fans were hoping the PS5 online reveal event would give us a glimpse finally at the possible sequel to GTA 5. But alas, no. The issue here is that due to the fact that Rockstar makes so much money off of microtransactions from GTA 5, they don't really have much reason to work on or put out a sequel to it. They make all the money they could still need off of GTA 5 daily. Still, it would be really cool if, and fans are probably still hoping one day in the near future, we get a GTA 6. What would that look like? How much could we improve on GTA 5 when it comes to game design, story, and mechanics? Hopefully one day we'll get to find out. Thank you so much for watching. What are some of your favorite game franchises? Which sequels are you most hopeful about when it comes to their appearance on your next gen console? Let us know in the comments below. As I said earlier, I am super excited for the announced Elder Scrolls sequel, Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, whenever that ends up being made, I'm super into it. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!